Welcome to our September Garrison update. Thanks everybody for finding your way over here to American Lake. The floor is being redone over at Nelson Rec, which is why we switched our location today. So next month we'll be back on track with alternating between McChord and Lewis, Maine. So we have a very packed agenda today. We're going to go through it as quickly as possible. And so at this time I will turn it over to Colonel Lucas for opening remarks.
Thanks, Alicia, and again, welcome. I'm Colonel Nicole Lucas, the Garrison Commander here on Joint Base Lewis McChord. I do have some other things to cover, but we'll go straight into opening remarks, sir. So over to you, and then the wing.
Hey, good morning. I want to say thanks to everybody that came out to the 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony yesterday. It was a great event for us to be able to do that. Hadn't done it in 7 years. I found out that we had like over 1,000 hits on Facebook when we did it, so I appreciate everybody coming out and doing that. The Corps, as you know, is pretty busy right now. We're getting units to support the hurricane relief efforts that we expect will long go here in the next week or so. So if you start seeing a lot of units starting to move from the Corps, that's where they're going towards the southeast. I expect we'll have some senior leader visits. We're looking at potentially our Secretary of the Army coming next month. We'll start our Warfighter series coming up, so October will be pretty busy, but that doesn't mean we don't have enough time for all of you and what you need to have done. My Sergeant Major wanted me to put in a pitch talking about, we're out there doing PT. It's getting darker, and there's a lot of folks that are running around on the streets, and we've had some near misses, specifically in a lot of parking lots, so I'd ask the commanders to double down on that. As we go through, my Sergeant Major and I go through on the installation to see gyms. I was in another gym this morning. I'm on the warpath to fix gyms, and so yeah, roger that, roger that. And so today I was out in 1-2 Ghosts area over at Sheridan Gym and saw that piece. And so I'd ask you, as you continue to look at physical fitness and where we're going, if there's some issues, let my Sergeant Major or me know, or the Garrison, to help fix that. I know there's a lot of brigades that have sponsorship at gyms, but I just let you know that the chain of command is out there looking, and we love to see soldiers and our airmen doing PT. So that's all I got. Over to the Chief.
Thank you, sir. So on behalf of my boss, Colonel Curran, I want to say thanks as well. I had the opportunity last week to go down range and see a bunch of our airmen that were deployed, and the first question I always ask them is, how's your family? We're somewhat of a minority. If you look around, I think we've got 6 airmen in the room this morning inside this big beast that is JBLM. But I want to say thank you to everybody on this base, specifically our support personnel in the Garrison, who help take care of our families. When you ask someone downrange that most important question and they look at you and they smile and say everything's great, that's exactly what we need to hear. Because it means that we're doing our jobs. In 18 months almost that I've been here, I don't know of a single instance since we've ever got to a point where we couldn't fix something if the right people got to the table and had a conversation. And I think it's a testament not only to the leadership and our ability to work together, but in our support organizations and being able to take care of people, whether they're an airman, soldier, sailor, Marine. Just get it done. I just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Chief, and you're welcome to talk anytime. So good morning, everybody, again. Thanks for coming. I know the room's a little awkward here, so we'll try to make sure, and it's going to be hard to see the slides if you're at the back. So we do have a packed agenda today, so I'm glad to see so many here, especially the unit leadership, because this is the one time a month that we really can come together and talk about the installation and some of the key things that you need to know and the things that we want you to know. So today's a little bit special. I do have Mr. Bill Adamson is here from SSMCP. He's going to talk to us about the workforce survey that was done this year. He'll go into the details, but this survey is really important in terms of getting feedback about the installation and giving us actionable things that we can do to improve the community for all of you and for your families as well. So, Bill, I'll let you take it away.
So before I get into the survey, I want to talk a little bit about something called the Regional Economic Impact Analysis of JBLM. So just ask yourself, how important is JBLM to this region? And we defined the region as Pierce County, Thurston County, and the Nisqually Indian tribal lands that are adjacent to JBLM. So we formed a partnership with the UW-Tacoma Center for Business Analytics to put this analysis together. It was concluded this past summer, and I'm going to show you some of the results. Next slide. So here's our problem statement. And this is the first time in over 10 years that anybody's taken a look at this specific military installation. So this predates JBLM. This is a Fort Lewis product over 10 years ago. So this is the first time JBLM has had a hard look at what is the impact of its workforce on the region. Previous studies were focused on defense contracting only. Next slide. So we have a phase one, which is the current project, which is complete. I'm going to show you those results in a second. And then phase two is the school is going to establish a portal that they're going to maintain so that we can continue to update this on a recurring, maybe annual basis, and that other businesses in the region can use this same portal to do their own economic analysis. Next slide. So here's the big numbers. 8.3 to 9.2 billion is a significant chunk of change in Pierce and Thurston County. And the reason there's a range there, how many of you are retirees that choose to live in this area? Okay, so the reason there's a range is the direct payroll for JBLM is 4.9 billion. But if you include all the military retirees, of which there's about 32,000, and their payroll, that number jumps up to 5.73 billion, which gives us that range we're talking about, 8.3 to 9.2. So if you're a retiree, just ask yourself, did you choose to retire here because the Northwest is a great place, or because of the services that are available at places like Madigan, the PX, the Commissary? That's why we have a range there. Then we broke down payroll into these little yellow boxes, some of the areas, how do you spend your payroll? And you can see those numbers along the bottom. Those O&M values for Madigan and the operating budget for JBLM are direct costs taken from JBLM authoritative data sources. So when we started to project out, we used this thing called MPLAM economic multipliers. There's about 25,000 jobs in this area, not directly JBLM jobs, but community jobs associated with JBLM being here, and then some tax revenues. So those are some pretty big numbers. Previous studies had it down around 3.3 billion, but they weren't taking into account all the things that we took into account. And I wish we had the data for real estate sales. We didn't have it available at the time because the majority of you that live here are buying homes. It'd be nice to see that the next time we do that. Next slide. So now I'm going to get into the workforce survey. I'm going to take these at about 15 seconds each, and we're going to get through it quickly. But if there's any questions at the end, I think Colonel Lucas will take those. Next. So here's your demographics, 2,500 respondents. That's down over the previous two surveys. Back in 2014, we had 5,600. And back in 2016, we had 3,100 respondents. I think that's a function of folks not using email as much as they used to, so we're going to have to find a new way to deliver the survey. But you can read the demographics, and the smallest age group was the junior enlisted. Maybe they just don't use email as much as they used to. Next slide. So what are the most important factors for choosing where you live? Ease of commute. Traffic congestion is still a big concern. Housing price and school quality. You can see the top 5 locations. Interestingly, some of them aren't right outside the gate, like Lakewood and Tacoma. The continuing trend is for more folks to be moving down to Thurston County, with Lacey being kind of the center of gravity for Thurston County there. That's the biggest whole number, and DuPont has the biggest concentration in one spot. Next slide. So this was the green dots represent respondents that provided an address. So this shows you where you live. You're invested in 17 communities around here. Some of you are farther away than Gig Harbor, Graham, Enumclaw, but most of you are right there, right outside the gate. Next slide. Here are some retail shopping factors, convenience being number 1. Twice as important as military discounts, although most of the retail shops around here typically offer a 10% or a 5% military discount. Looks like convenience is driving most of your shopping patterns. Next slide. So school-age children and education for schools, not surprisingly, Clover Park is still the highest. They operate 6 of the schools on base. North Thurston Public School Districts is number 2. That's kind of indicative of the growing population in Lacey and Thurston County. Some numbers at the bottom there are pretty enlightening. And only 76% of you are satisfied with public education. Next slide. On child care. Now, 80% of you don't use child care, but of those that do, here are the percentages and how you use it. By hours and whether it's on base or off base. And then I thought it would be interesting, how much do you pay? Next slide. So 33% pay less than $500, but it continues to go up. And when you get up into the $1,500 range every month, that's a significant impact on your payroll. And I guess this could be indicative of the number of children in your family as well. We don't have specific numbers on family size, but just the cost here. Next slide. So traffic congestion is still the #1 concern here, and we continue to do work on that. The JBLM Congestion Relief Project will start construction up by Thorn Lane in about a month and a half. That'll be about a 7-year build, and then we're continuing to work down south into Thurston County. We're advocating for funds for those folks in Thurston County to improve that stretch of highway as well. Most of you feel safe. I wanted to bring up number 3. 2 years ago, drug and opioid abuse was not even on the radar screen, and now it's jumped there to number 3. Next slide. On social services, once again, about 80% of you don't use social services, but of those that do, behavioral health counseling is #1. 2 years ago, that was a 15% usage rate. Now it's down a bit. That might have to do with fewer rotations on deployments. People are a little bit more stable, but we don't have any direct data. That's just a summation on my part. And then there's some new things like food banks. We didn't have that one on there 2 years ago. Next. So this just shows pictorially all the gates, the hours of operation, and this is going to get to the traffic congestion part here on the next slide. So this is just inbound traffic on any typical workday in the middle column, and on the weekend in the right-hand column. So you can multiply these by 2. So if you're transiting between Main Post and North Fort, that's 21,000 trips per day. So our concern in the community is the on-grade rail crossing at that exit. Here in a month or so, that high-speed train is going to start again. And when that happens, it's going to make 13 or 14 trips, I can't remember, every day. And when that happens, the traffic's going to back up into I-5. So we're concerned about that. And I understand McChord North at the bottom there is going to be closed permanently now, so that avenue is going to go away. Next slide. So on transitioning service members, and we actually got this data from JBLM organizations. This was not part of our survey, but came directly from the organizations that do this work. A little over 50% of you continue to stay in this area after transitioning. Primary reason is to find jobs. 80% of you are immediately going into the workforce, where about 20% of you are going into college or technical school training. 1% are opening entrepreneurial small businesses after transitioning out. Now, to put this survey together every year, we try to give incentives for folks to participate in it. And today, Staff Sergeant Eric Johnson of the 5th Mobile Affairs, Public Affairs Detachment is with us to receive a check for $500. So if Colonel Lucas, if you would help me present this, come on up, Sergeant. So first of all, thanks for taking the survey. And here's $500 for it.
Oh, you're done?
or can you go back to the agenda slide? Or actually, I'm sorry, the lead-based paint one is good. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to actually hand this over to the Director of Public Works to talk, but what I want to do is kind of tee this up. So what we did this week was conduct 2 town halls on JBLM regarding lead paint in on-base housing. So a big topic of discussion for the Army, just a little bit of a reminder, you're sitting on a joint base, of course here on Joint Base Lewis McChord, it's joint, but it's an Army-led joint base. So this is an Army issue right now that we're really focused on, and so we conducted these 2 town halls at the direction of the Army, but really to communicate with our residents the status of what the concern is and also the status of things on JBLM. What I can share with you as command teams is I am very confident with the information that we provided to our residents. I'm really confident in the housing partner that we have, Lincoln Military Housing. I'm really confident that we provide safe housing for our family members here on JBLM, and my goal throughout all of this is about maintaining trust with our family members and residents here on JBLM. So that's my commitment to you. Because I had okay attendance at the town hall, I think it was likely driven by 2 things. One, most people I interact with know that they have lead paint in their home because it was communicated to them when they moved in. And 2, the short timeline that I had to execute these town halls based on an Army suspense may have not have allowed for much participation. So what I want to do is just cover the 5 or 6 high points with you all here today. So if you hear about this in your formations, you got something to anchor back to. What we also did was recorded that town hall. That'll be up on social media, and also the slide deck that we used will be there as well. So we'll continue to communicate. If you get feedback within your units that they said, oh, I didn't know about it, I couldn't get there in this short amount of time, our next step will be to execute like a Facebook town hall, a live event, a virtual, that I can tee that up if you give me that feedback. Oh, you got a microphone.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, I'm Steve Perno, Director of Public Works. This all started with the 16 August Reuters story. It's extremely long. It talked about some lead blood levels elevated in children that were living on Fort Benning in our partner's housing. So that's why we're discussing it today. Lead is not good in your body. Especially for children that are the most vulnerable population, is under 6 years old, as their brain and their activities and their behaviors are starting to develop. Lead is not good for those developments. Lead-based paint was banned by the federal government in 1977, so any house built prior to 1978 most likely has lead-based paint on your walls. Lead-based paint in itself is not a hazard. When it becomes a hazard, though, is when you look at the floor and you see paint chips on the floor, or if you're opening and closing the windows and you see a lot of dust that's not normal dirty dust, but if your house is clean and you see dust, then those are the hazards. So what you need to do immediately if you're living in housing, you need to call Lincoln Military Housing. They will respond as an urgent work order, and they will be there within 4 hours to assess and correct the problem. If you don't have the number, it's 253-912-3500. Those that live on the house in housing probably have that memorized by now. There's also other hazards in your house. If you have a lot of antiques, as far as antique tableware or whatever, they probably have lead in them. So you might want to question, should you be using that? If you got hobbies, using ceramics or lead or stained glass windows, that is all lead-based paint. So if you've got hobbies, I'm not saying to quit those hobbies. You need to make sure you clean your area that you use, and you need to make sure you clean your clothes and wash your hands very well. As Colonel Lucas says, we're very confident in Lincoln Military Housing as our partner. They do a very, very good job. Next slide, please. What we had to do, the Army has a tiered approach. The first thing we did is we looked at their processes, their procedures, and we looked at all their records. And they're following all the federal regulations to a T. They're very good at what they do. They follow the HUD requirements and EPA requirements. They hand out, they make you sign, if you live in a house prior, or that was constructed pre-1978, if you don't remember, you sign something that says you're aware that you live in that house. And I know when you're PCS and stress is pretty high, so you need to probably look at, you know, do I live in pre-1978 home? We're going to validate where that 152 homes comes from. There's about 5,100 plus homes. 3,324 of those homes were built prior to 1978. So they're in that population. And out of those houses, 1,525 homes have children under 6. Again, that's the most vulnerable population. So out of that 1,525, we're going to go survey, walk through 152 of those homes. And that will be done early in fiscal year 2019. After we do that, we're going to sit down with our partners and look at the results. We expect the results to be positive, good, not positive, but good results. But we'll also look at if there needs to be additional actions to be done by our partner, our housing partner. And if so, then they will take those actions, we will monitor those actions, and we will share all the information. Again, Colonel Lucas talked about the town halls. What we had is Colonel Lucas and I talked, and then we had Mr. Tom Brown, who's the regional manager for Lincoln Military Housing there. And we also had the pediatric clinic chief there. So there were questions, so they were able to answer that. But if you have any questions about your children, and if they're under 6 years old, Madigan says, please call pediatrics. Call your primary care doctor, whatever you want to do. So, but again, as to highlight what Colonel Lucas says, we're very confident in Lincoln Military Housing. They do the right things. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. So just to let you know what's going on in terms of some of the things that we're doing with the reorganization and consolidating our footprint across JBLM. The final move that we're doing this fiscal year is the Women, Infant, and Children's location was in building 2166 on Lewis, Maine. That is an old World War II building in much need of repair. And so we have relocated them to McChord at 551 Barnes Boulevard in a very nice facility, much more conducive to the operations of WIC because they do exams. And this is a service that's provided for our lower income families so that they can get nutrition benefits and money toward food purchases, but they also do wellness visits for infants and children. So a very nice facility. They're very happy to be in there, and so we just wanted to make sure everyone is aware of their new location. When our folks call to schedule appointments with WIC, they will be directed to the new location.
Okay, so two more things that I'm going to cover. It's starting to feel like the Nicole Lucas show up here today. But in September, we really focus on transition here on JBLM. So JBLM has one of the best transition programs for service members, and we're really, really proud of that. So two things I want to highlight and make sure that you're aware. At the end of September, on the 24th, we have the Military Spouse Employment Forum. Great event, all-day event that's focused solely on what we can do to help our spouses with employment here at JBLM and in the region. So this is a great event that I really would appreciate your support in kind of spreading the word, because what I have learned over the course of being in this job, that readiness is also tied to family readiness. So spouse employment, taking care of families, those kind of things provide that stability that makes a service member even more ready to execute what we need them to do. So we'll do this on the 24th, and if you go to the next slide, that rolls into our transition summit here on JBLM, which is a 2-day event that I would, as command teams, I'm talking to you about it for two reasons. One, I would love you to come and spend some time with us as we go through this forum. We're fortunate to have General Valesky give us our opening comments at the welcome on the very first day. In that evening, there's a social event that you are more than welcome to come as command teams. And then on the second day, another forum with employers, and then we shift over into the hiring fair. So right now we have about 160 employers scheduled to be here on that day. So So your presence there, kind of circulating and seeing, would be wonderful. But then the other portion is encourage your transitioning soldiers, airmen, to attend this event. And there's a registration requirement that if you talk to them about, if they do it ahead of time, it makes the process even smoother. They can do it on site, it's fine, but they kind of are able to get right after interacting with employers and being involved in the summit if they do that registration in advance. In the past, I think last year's numbers, we were up over 120 on-the-spot job offers. Thousands of resumes get taken and worked after the fact. So it's a great opportunity because all of us have the same goal, right? That a transitioning service member leaves service with a job. And this is such a great opportunity to take advantage of here on JBLM. So it's not just me asking you to get your formations there, but I would love for you to join us as well, intermingle with these employees. That command team involvement is really powerful, and so I would appreciate that. I'll also include this in the commander email that I send this week, so you'll get all this from me directly as well. Next slide. So I have one other thing I just want to cover before I hand it over to Madigan. Just a quick construction update. I know everybody knows that Liberty Gate, the main gate there on JBLM, is still under construction. Right now we are confident that we are on track with that to finish that at the end of the September. So that's good news. What that will do is get that gate back open in a much more safe and efficient way, but also closes down our temporary visitor center and gets us back into visitor center operations in kind of appropriate facility for the weather that's coming. The other big construction project that's probably affecting a lot of folks is what's happening over in the logistics center on Rainier Drive. That one is also on track. It's going to be weather dependent on that we can get the paving done. So we're watching that closely as the rain starts to come. But so far so good. We're looking good. For as long as we can, we're going to continue the road work and the parking lot work that you're seeing happen. As long as the weather cooperates, we're going to continue to get after that as much as we can. So you will see, roads blocked down while we're filling in cracks and parking lots and those kind of things. And we'll continue to do that as much as we can until the bad weather hits. All right, so, ma'am, over to you. Oh, actually, here.
No, here,
I'm going to keep this.
Sure. You get your own microphone.
Good morning. I'm Colonel Susie Scott, the Deputy Commanding Officer at Madigan Army Medical Center. And as we focus on transitions in the month of September, I want to let you know that your military health system, Madigan Army Medical Center, is there to support you. And I've got a number of slides to show you how we can assist you in that support. So if we could go to the next slide. As the weather transitions and we start to have a lot more rain and a lot of later mornings and earlier evenings, this is a great opportunity to refocus on suicide prevention. It's certainly everyone in this room and every service member's opportunity to be able to help each other and help our families. The numbers for the suicide hotlines and the military one source line is here on the slide for you for information. Certainly if you have a individual who is imminent threat of harming themselves or others, certainly please don't hesitate to call 911. And that'll get them into the healthcare system and we'll be able to provide support for them. Next slide, please. We are also transitioning into flu season. And we have our flu campaign established for November. The dates are up here on the slides for this. We'll be doing it in the ground floor of Madigan Army Medical Center. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Colonel Kelly, who is our Chief of Public Health Nursing. She is going to be leading the flu drive this year. So there's your point of contact if you have questions or concerns about that as well. Certainly, if you don't want to participate in the flu drive, once we do have flu vaccine, that notification will go out, and you are welcome to get flu vaccine in any of your outlying clinics as well to be able to support you. We want to be able to get that to you in the most convenient way possible. You can also go out to any one of our TRICARE network pharmacies. If you go to the tricare.mil/flu, that will give you a list of all the participating pharmacies in the community, and you can go out and get your flu shots now for that. What we ask is that want to remind you that this is no cost to you, and we ask that you don't pay any bills or pay any administrative fees with that, because that is not a requirement for you to get your flu shots on the network. Next slide, please. This is also National Pain Awareness Month. And with that, I wanted to remind you of the services that we have available to you at Madigan Army Medical Center to work with both acute and chronic pain. We have a physical medicine and rehabilitation services at Madigan that provides diagnostic, therapeutic, and educational services for the entire community within the hospital. We've also got health psychology, physical therapy, occupational therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, yoga, all available to you as part of your military health system benefit. And again, you can access those services through your PCMs. You can call the appointment line, or you can make an appointment through the MHS Genesis patient portal. Next slide. We also have support groups for you. We have a Living Beyond Pain support group that meets on a routine basis every Thursday from 2 to 3:30. And we can give you more information about where that is being held and any information that you want about that group by calling the number at the bottom of the slide or talking to Miss May. Okay, next slide. We are continued to focus on chronic pain management without using opioids. So I wanted to remind you that we do have medication turn-in boxes at 3 different locations across the installation for you to be able to turn in excess medications. We've got one located in our main pharmacy, one located over in the McChord Clinic, and then over here on North Lewis at the Akubo Clinic as well. Next slide. September is back to school month, and it's also our opportunity to focus on childhood obesity. To me, this is a recruiting issue, because if we don't manage childhood obesity, we are limiting the population that can then come back and continue to serve. It's also important to look for childhood obesity because of the secondary risks for health concerns for our kids: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke, just to name a few. That if we can focus on childhood obesity, we can avoid some of these chronic illnesses in our kids. We are going to have this as a topic of discussion at our next Facebook live session, Town Hall. And if you flip to the next slide, that gives you the date and time for that. So on September 21st, this is our back to school edition with our Facebook Live. This is our second pediatrics-focused Facebook Live group. So it's a great opportunity for you and your family members to talk to our pediatricians and subject matter experts about anything related to our kids. Back to school, we can talk lead-based paint, we can talk childhood obesity, anything you want to address with our pediatricians. We're happy to do it at that session. Next slide. We're also here for you for back to school physicals. You can call the main appointment line. We're happy to offer those in our pediatrics clinic or any of our family practice clinics across the installation as well. Very easy to schedule an appointment with that. And the number's here on the slide. And then I'm really excited to tell you about the fact that we are expanding our school-based health system. We just did a ribbon cutting for one of our school-based clinics out in the community at Bethel High School. Next week, we're going out to River Ridge High School to do a ribbon cutting there. So what this means for you is we have a nurse practitioner and a licensed practical nurse that are going to our schools, so your kids that are in our high schools and a number of our middle schools can get their appointments at the school. So you don't have to take off work and impact your readiness to go down, pick up your kid, and bring them back for an appointment. And your children don't need to miss class to be able to get their school physicals, immunizations, acute needs met in the schools. So we're going to each of the schools about a half a day a week this year. We've got 10 schools that we're doing this term, and then we will be up to 11 by next year. We're going to open up in North Thurston High School in 2019. So this is a great program for you and your middle school and high schoolers. It wouldn't be a Madigan presentation without mention of MHS Genesis. We are continuing to make improvements and see improvements to the system. I think it's going to be, it is a fantastic electronic health record already, in that it allows you as our beneficiaries to see your electronic records immediately. So you do this by logging on to the patient portal, so you can see, you have access to your health records, and you also have access to be able to make appointments through that process as well. You can still go to TRICARE online to be able to see your past medical history through there, but we are not making appointments through TRICARE online anymore, nor is Relay Health functional. So for your soldiers that are coming in from other communities for the first time and they're used to using Relay Health to communicate with their providers, with MHS Genesis, we can't do that. If you flip to the next slide, the key piece to using MHS Genesis in the patient portal is having a DS logon. So your family members need to have a DS logon as well to be able to access the record. We have found over time that this can be a tricky process to be able to obtain the passwords for this. So we have a hotline to be able to provide support for your family, you or your family members, if you're having difficulty with DS logon. And the number is here to be able to call that. So. And then my last slide here is I've got an ask for some assistance. We have a patient family advisory council that we rely on heavily to give us feedback on how we can do better at delivering services to you. The group meets on a monthly basis it's the second Tuesday of the month at noon in Cahill Conference Room. But candidly, our participation has waned over time, and we really could use some support with that. Because without your feedback, we're not sure if we've got things right for you, and that's the most important thing for us. So if you or your family members would like to volunteer, really what we're asking is probably 2 hours a month to be able to participate in that and provide feedback. Certainly if you're interested in volunteering more, we're happy to have you, but that is our ask. And if you are interested, please call our patient advocate. The number, again, here is at the bottom of this slide. Mr. Jeremy O'Brien will take your call at that point, and we'll get you hooked up with the Patient Family Advisory Council. So subject to your questions, that's all I've got. Okay. Give this back to you. Ooh, there we go.
Hello, I'm Kathy with Directorate of Public Works Environmental Division. I do the sustainability outreach there. This month is Pollution Prevention Month, so we just want to make sure everybody's keeping on top of that, purchasing products that are only authorized. We have an authorized use list. We have staff available to help make sure you're getting the right stuff. On JBLM, it's only rain down the drain, so we want to make sure that you're paying attention to what's being used in your motor pools or just generally out in your facilities. Once again, we do focus on recycling outreach, and we're talking about time for new school clothes, so think about buying from the thrift stores and moving things through and returning things over to the thrift stores. If you've just gotten here, you have some boxes or, you know, other recyclable materials. We've got 2 recycling centers on JBLM. Be sure and utilize those. We have a Connex where we store moving materials. So once again, make sure you share the news that there's places you can put stuff, and if you need help with any of your recycling concerns, we do have recycling outreach staff to support. All right, next slide, please. Coming up to the commute trip reduction survey time. We'll be surveying all Washington employers. It's a requirement of state law, and we'll be putting those out next week. So just keep in touch with us. We are also aware of the fact that the North Gate shut down on McChord. There is still access through our Go Transit system. You can still connect to Lakewood Town Center, and you can still be a commuter and park at different locations. We have a commute connector. So GoLewisMcChord.com can hook you up, and you can travel back and forth to Seattle, get off base using that system during commute hours. Also, we do an off-base service to DuPont. So once again, if you want to be a commuter, we have options for you to use our on-base transit system. Thank you very much.
Good Good morning. Nancy Barnes with the Public Works Housing Division. And we're going to talk about a few additional projects that Lincoln is doing. So the seal coat for the 3 playgrounds that you see that has a star next to it has been completed. So that's a seal coat over the hard surface around the playground. It has been completed. The next project over in Broadmoor is the asphalt work that's going to be done behind the duplexes, 2626 through 2629. Emails have already gone out to notify those residents, and that's going to start September 17th. Coordination has to be made with the post office in LeMay to continue picking up the trash. Next slide. So Carter Lake housing area has Carter Lake. And in Carter Lake, we're going to go ahead and secure that area with 5 safety gates. And what this does is prevent the children from walking on the gate in the winter when the lake when it freezes over. And so we want to keep the children safe. That's going to start September 24th. Olympic Grove down the bottom, that square area, they're going to replace and install new fencing. And they're going to increase it from 4 feet to 6 feet. And emails have already gone out, and that's going to start September 24th. Any questions? Great, thank you.
Morning, everybody. Kelly Wetzel from MWR. The weather's turned. We've turned that corner. It's probably fall around the corner, so that doesn't mean, though, that you can't get out and have a good time. Even if it's raining, you need to get out of your house, get out of your dorm, get out of your apartment, get out of your barracks, and go and have a good time with MWR. There is a lot of stuff happening in the next 3 months. Some of the highlights that you need to know about are the CYS Job Fair has been postponed to October 2nd, so it is not the 25th. It is now October 2nd, so if you have somebody in your family or friend who would like to work with children, we are hiring in our Child and Youth Services programs. Also, the JBLM Golf Championship on the 15th and 16th has been canceled. And then, let's see, anything else that needs to be talked about that's gotten changed? No, there's nothing on this list that has been changed so far. Oktoberfest is coming up this Saturday. If you have not been to one of our Oktoberfests, it is a hoot. We've got live German music. We've got a handful of different real German beers, good German food, and just a lot of fun that day. So then you get to also walk through the thrift store flea market. So if you are looking for something, or if you've recently PCS'd and you need to get rid of some things, call the folks at MWR and see if you can't squeeze in and get a table there so that you can sell some things. And then on the bottom there is Wine and Jazz. This is the second time we've done this at the McChord Club. It's a chance for you to come in. If you're a McChord Club member, you save $3 on your admission, and that gets you a commemorative wine glass. It gets you 4 wine tastings, and then we also have different appetizer platters that have been created to enhance whether you like a white wine, whether you like a red wine. We'll also have live jazz there that night. It is a fun, fun time. And so they are taking reservations, and you can purchase your tickets in advance either at the club or at either of the Leisure Travel Services offices in the bowling centers on base. Next slide. So I told you, there's a lot of stuff happening. This is October and November, and this is not everything that is happening in October and November. Some of the highlights are the Face Your Fears run. Used to call it the Zombie Apocalypse run. Now it is not just zombies. It is whatever you are afraid of. So, so if you want to register for that, register by the end of this month, and you save yourself a chunk of money, and that also guarantees you one of the cool t-shirts that they've got for the run. Also, right under that is Theatrical Nightmare. That's the Better Opportunities for Single Service Members fundraiser, but it's also a base-wide event, and it's a lot of fun, and that's those 2 weekends. So it's the Thursday, Friday, Saturday of each of those weeks. And then all of the Commander's Cup sports coming up. The German Buffet is back at the McChord Club. And then down into November, Winter Expo at Northwest Adventure Center is a chance for you to find out what's available for winter sports here. So if you'd like to go snowmobiling, if you'd like to snowshoe or cross-country ski, you want to talk to some folks at the ski areas or maybe talk about snowmobiling, they have representatives there. They'll talk about their trips. You'll get to take a look at their equipment. You can check out rental stuff. All of that is at their Winter Expo at the Northwest Adventure Center, and they are just around the cove from here as you come in. The Commander's Cup swim meet is the 6th through 8th of November. Turkey Trot's another run. The Thanksgiving buffet at the McChord Club, if you are done cooking Thanksgiving or you don't want to have that many people in your kitchen, the Thanksgiving buffet at the McChord Club is always a really good option. And then at the end of November is the holiday tree lighting. Anybody have any questions? Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Deacon. I'm here to talk to you about better opportunity for single service members. The single service, about last month we had the Single Service Member Day, and it was an awesome event. We have about 1,500 single service members showed up, and we did a fun run, and we had the car shows, and we did a pool tournament, and we have some other events like the Drunk Buster that going on, and so single service members they had the opportunity to gather tickets and win a couple of prizes. Next slide. September we had a spelunking trip, which happened last Saturday and Sunday. We went out to the Ape Cave, went through it, and we camped out there and to Sunday morning, then we head back. And we have on the 15th and on the 22nd, we have the horseback riding, which is already full, and that's gonna go on the 15th and today at 1300 we have the installation boss meeting. If you want to show up and show support, it's gonna be at the Nelson Rec Center. Next slide. And next month we have the haunted house coming up, and we're gonna need a lot of volunteers. We need about 60 monsters. If you if you want to volunteer to be a monster, that would be awesome. Or if you want to volunteer to set up and break down, that would be awesome. And it's going to be on October 18th to 20th and October 25th to 27th, 7 to 11 p.m. And on October 27th will be the children, basically less scary for children. That way we don't scare somebody's kid. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Chaplain Brandt. I'm the JBLM Garrison chaplain, and we got one exciting program that's getting ready to start tonight, as a matter of fact. We've got one program in two locations. It's the Awana program. Awana stands for A Workman and Not Ashamed, out of 2 Timothy 2:15. It's for kids 3 to 18 and adults. We've got the Bible clubs for the kids and adult studies for the parents as you drop your kids off for their programs. It's going to be at 2 locations. Main Post Chapel will be the first one. Both the programs start at 5 o'clock this evening with a dinner. So if you want to come by and get some food and drop your kids off and begin to enjoy a study. The other location at McChord will be at Building 174. And we'll be starting there same time with the dinner tonight at 5 o'clock. Next slide, please. If you want to know more about all the programs that we offer, we've got a Facebook page now, starting to catch up to the social media generation. And that's our Facebook page. And if you go in there and you check the menus, you'll be able to look at all the different services that we offer. Also, there's an event button on there as well, and you can look at all the events that are going to be coming up as well. So we are actually catching up to the digital age. Those are all the slides I've got, unless any questions.
Good morning. The commissary has Halloween candy out already. I know it's early, but keeping up with everybody else. So just come get it before it runs out. And if you buy it too early, come back, because I know you'll eat it. Next slide. McChord has a sidewalk sale coming up the 13th through the 16th. That's this weekend. Next slide. At Lewis, Maine, we have a fresh tray packed seafood sale from the 14th through the 16th. Come in, it'll be something different. I know McChord has lost the fresh fish over there. They're working on, I guess they're working on getting it back, right? Okay, next slide. And we will have another sidewalk sale at Lewis on 18th through the 21st. It will be in the warehouse. And everything is up to 50% off, so come out for that. That was the last slide, but I want to talk about the Fed feeds, families. Both commissary has pre-made bags in the store. I can't say where McChord has it, but when you walk into Lewis, it's at the front. It's a pre-made bag. The donations, we send it out to the food bank here. So that's something good. Last year, DOD did 2.6 million pounds. The commissary alone did 1.5 million of that. So to all of you, I say thank you.
Good morning. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide, but some upcoming events at both the Lewis Exchange and the McChord Exchange this weekend. We can pull that up online, but there's a lot going on. There's demos, giveaways going on at both locations. Next slide, please. I would like to call out some attention to this because it's a really good deal. We do this twice a year. When your children get their report cards, if they have a B average, they can go into either one of the exchanges, get a coupon book. It has a variety of stuff in it, but they can also register to win a significant amount of money, $500, $1,500, and $2,000. We do that both for the spring semester and the fall semester. It's free. There's no charge on any of that. It's a really good deal. Next slide. This is a new storefront that's available over at in the McChord Exchange. They're doing a Labor Day sale to just kind of get their business started. We're kind of excited about it. It's mostly medical equipment, with the large retiree population there. We think that this is going to be a pretty successful business for us. Next slide, please. For the Air Force birthday, we have some pretty good deals going on. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas instead of 5 cents with your Millstar. At any of the exchange restaurants, you can save 15% on any of your purchases instead of the 10 that's available every day, and save $15 on a $25 purchase or more at our concession vendors. Grand opening at Panda. It's just a ribbon cutting ceremony, but we've taken a long time to get this facility open, so if you're up on Lewis North and want something different to eat, we have this facility open now, and it's located in the Lewis North Express.
Good morning. My name is Lydia Morris. I'm the HR manager for the exchange here on Joint Base Lewis McChord, and I'm excited to speak to you today to share some on-the-spot interview events that we'll be hosting. One is next week on Thursday, the 20th of September. That will be at McChord. We will be set up in the mall area. That will start at 11 o'clock. As folks come in, we will be able to conduct on-the-spot interviews and offer jobs on the spot. So if you have anybody that might be looking for employment, we encourage them to come out. We will be having a second event the following week on Friday, the 28th of September. This will be at the Lewis Main Store Mall. It's also at 11 o'clock. We are probably 85% connected in some form or fashion. All of our associates are connected to the military. We are focusing more and more on lifestyle hiring to make sure that we have a good work-life balance. And we love to hire military spouses and veterans. We have a commitment to hiring 50,000 veterans worldwide by 2020. Next slide, please. So this is some information on where to go to find our job openings. You can go to applymyexchange.com, and in the search function, just look for Joint Base Lewis McChord. You could either search Fort Lewis or McChord, and those available positions will pop up for you. All right, next slide.
This is an artist rendering of the new shopping center that's about to begin here at Fort Lewis. Next slide, please. The current facility is going to push out to the south and to the east. On this slide, it's kind of hard to see, but Everything in red is the current facility to include the mall and the food court area. That will become just the sales floor of the main store, so it'll increase in size quite a bit, and it'll also push to the south. Also, we'll be relocating the Class 6 and the MCS store to the south entrance. And then the whole front side of that in black is also new construction, which will be an entire new full-size mall and a new food court. And instead of having 5 food concepts in there, there will be 8. I'd love to share those with you, but since they're not 100% set in stone, I don't want to say anything I have to take back. Construction is going to start October 24th, and it's going to be done in 7 phases over the course of 2 years. So I want to apologize for any inconvenience that's going to come up over the next 2 years as far as traffic flow, parking, that sort of stuff. The facility will remain open the entire time. We expect the Class 6 MCS and the concession mall and the new food court to be open roughly a year from when we start construction at the end of October, and then the renovation of the main sales floor to be completed the following year. And I believe that's all I have, unless somebody has any questions.
Hi, my name is Laura Basie. I am the first VP for the Lewis Community Spouses Club. Yes, we have 2 VPs. Our president couldn't be here today, and our motto is impacting our community one spouse at a time. And we do this through 2 ways. We heard Colonel Lucas, we heard some of our airmen this morning talk about family resiliency. And one big thing we do is try and pull spouses together. Now, I'm really proud to wear my 17th pin, my BSB pin, and I love being here today to do that. But I'm equally as proud to go join those spouses right after this to go to a luncheon. We build friendships, we read books, we're gonna go see the salmon jump, we drink wine, we do all the fun things. I'm telling you, it's great to be a spouse here. And we don't, we have retiree spouses, we have Air Force spouses, we have Army spouses, Marine Corps, we're just spouses. One of our biggest events we have coming up, whether you're a member or not, is our costume party. We're doing a murder mystery this year. Our reservations close for this next Thursday. And I'm telling y'all right now, 160th is the group to beat for numbers, because man, I'll tell you what, y'all are on it. But it's a fun night to dress up. It does not have to go with the murder mystery theme, and come together, learn more about the club, make new friends. We just transitioned through the summer, and now it's time to get to know one another. The other thing we do to impact our community is to raise money. Last year, we raised and then gave out through grants and scholarships over $40,000. Y'all, our board is about 30 members. 30 members to not raise over $40,000. We cannot do this without you. And this is where we're looking to our command teams. Now, this event, Derby Night, is in March. But we look to people in our community. When you go get your hair cut, when you go shopping, wherever, we're looking for donations for our silent and live auctions. We look to our units to donate items for our live and silent auctions. And this is kind of a save the date for that night. That is when we invite everybody out to come and have a good time. So yeah, if you have any questions, lewiscommunityspousesclub.org is our website. And I'm here now. I'm going to lunch though. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Shelley. I'm the president of Santa's Castle for this year. The Elves of Santa's Castle would like me to invite all of you to our open house on September 25th from 5 to 7. We're going to be giving tours, answering questions about our program, and we will have cake too, so please come and enjoy. If you're unfamiliar with Santa's Castle, in a nutshell, our mission is to make sure that our junior service members who are struggling financially have toys for their kids for Christmas. We have, they are all referred to us by their chain of command through our website, and then once their referrals have been processed, we send an email out to them. Then they make an appointment and distribution. Go ahead and do the next slide, please. Our distribution are the 2 weeks right after Thanksgiving. So then we will be accepting referrals starting on the 24th of September. The deadline is November 1st. We will take late referrals only after that on a case-by-case basis. And I think that's about it. Oh, we will have office hours starting on the 24th of September. We will be at the castle every day from 11 to 2, excluding Donzas and holidays. And if you need us there at another time, just please make an appointment. Give us a call and we'll make arrangements. Thanks. Yes, and you do have flyers on your table and invitations. Thank you.
Good morning, Eric Flint, Director of the Lewis Army Museum. We are wrapping up a very successful summer. Since reopening the museum last August, we have already more than doubled our visitorship over the previous full fiscal year that we were open. And this Saturday, we will be, I don't know why that says 11 September, it should be 15 September. This Saturday, we are reaching the culmination of a 4-year multi-million-dollar redesign of the entire museum to upgrade all of our exhibits, modernize all our exhibits, and our final gallery, the Hall of Valor. The Hall of Valor covers the battle history of the United States Army as it pertains to units that have served here at Fort Lewis, including 1st Corps and the 7th Infantry Division. We'll be open to the public at 10 a.m. At 1100, we will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony, and from that point forward, it will be open to the public. The main design of the Hall of Valor is as an educational gallery. The principle behind it was to be used as a resource to train soldiers in their professional development. Each of the 10 different battles and campaigns that we look at looks at a different principle of war, principle of sustainment, element of terrain analysis. Going through the gallery, you'll see the development and the evolution of Army doctrine and technology in warfare. At the same time, anyone can come in and just get an excellent overview of the history of the United States Army as it pertains to the organizations that have served here at Camp Lewis, Fort Lewis, and Joint Base Lewis McChord. And we invite you all to come out on Saturday. On the 17th of November, we will also be having a World War I Armistice commemoration event, and so we will ask that you all come out for that as well. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Karen, and I'm a volunteer at the American Red Cross here on JBLM. First thing I want to do is remind you about our open house tomorrow, or on the 29th of September from 10 to 2. If the weather permits, they're going to have a bouncy house and cupcakes on the lawn and hot dogs. There should be another slide here. Tomorrow, I'm not sure the exact time. There's going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony at our new facility, which was the World War II American Red Cross building. Invitations were sent through the mail, and there are some flyers on the tables. Unfortunately, I wasn't given enough to pass out to all the tables. We would like to invite everybody out to learn more about Red Cross services, and, including resiliency programs, services to the armed forces, and emergency messages. We're located near exit 119 and the fire station at 4201 Westway. Any questions? Thank you.
And just to the ribbon cutting tomorrow at it's the new Red Cross building. It's been a long time coming in that move. They're set up in there. So for command teams, if you can break away at 11:30 tomorrow, we'll do that ribbon cutting in the new facility. And then the open house is for the community. So please spread the word on that. Come out and see the new facility and all the programs there that the Red Cross does for us. So next community update is the 3rd of October. We'll be over at the McChord Club for that event. Thanks again, everyone, for your attendance today and your participation. And Chief, do you have closing comments? Sir, over to you for closing remarks. Thanks. Have a great day.